Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Rowe, the starch lady, the blood lady, your water lady. Go to mywaterpeople.com. You can find me on all of those. You can even find me on yourpooplady.com. Yes, I said that out loud. So it is March 16th, and last week, our visitors requested some easy, quick, super easy recipes that they can throw together in a flash. And so we are going to do quick and easy today. So let's get started by talking to Carolyn and Samantha that are with us already. And as others join, we'll try to get their updates for the week. How's it been going this week, Carolyn?
Oh, pretty good, I guess. I don't know. I've been working hard, eating fairly good.
Good.
Next week, me and my daughter have a little road trip we're going on.
Nice.
She has an appointment in a bigger city, so we have to drive 3 hours. It's where my parents live, so we're going to visit with them. So we'll visit with them. We're going to check out a couple vegan restaurants because when you haven't been there before, it's nice to try at least once.
Sure.
Yeah, and then do some shopping at the big mall there, West Edmonton Mall.
Nice.
And head home. Yeah.
Very nice. We used to go to that mall and we'd walk in. We could never remember which entrance to go in. And so we'd just walk in and we'd start smelling the Cinnabons and working our way to it, you know. And now that we don't eat that way, it's like, I'm glad they only keep them here in the United States. We only see Cinnabon inside of like Schlotzsky's and inside of gas stations. They're already boxed up. So I don't have that temptation. I can't eat it, but my husband sure could eat the daylights out of that. So anyways, I'm hoping to find a way to make a gluten-free, healthier version of a cinnamon roll because it's something he really does enjoy, something he does miss. I did find a gluten-free cinnamon roll package mix, but I want to tweak it. I want to make sure that it's okay. You know, it's not overladen with sugar and stuff like that. So, all right, that's cool. Samantha, how's it going for you?
Chicken.
Is she on? Can she flash? There we go. Tell us about your week.
Going well. Well, that's whatever. I'm good. Yeah, I've gained not a bunch, but it's not going from. It's not those same 3 pounds. Because it's at that 3 pounds period,
It's solid.
Yeah, it's not, it's that 1 pound and then back to that over 3 and then back down to the yeah. So it's like, yeah, this just really stinks. But and
you watching your fiber, increasing it?
Probably not, but I'm just I think I don't know. I don't know what it is.
All right. If you want to go over it a little bit more detail, we can maybe pick it apart. But I think you know the rules of engagement, and if the rules of engagement aren't being met, you know how to tweak it. But if you need a little help, just give me a call and we can go over it together. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to get into this handy dandy cooking. You want it quick and simple. And these are some of my fastest, quickest, simplest recipes. You literally have to throw stuff together and it's done. So we're going to start today. Let me see if I can take camera control here. There we go. All right, so y'all can see me. Am I on the big part of the screen on yours? Or yeah, I guess you can adjust it on your end, but on this side where we're recording, I need to be in the big part so you can see my stove contraption and all that fun stuff. So we are.
We see, I don't see anything. I don't see your stove. I mean, maybe, there you go. That's better.
That's the stove. Okay, so you should be able to, when I'm over here, you should be able to see me. So I'm all dressed up because I just went to my first Chamber of Commerce meeting for this adorable little town that we moved to. Very excited about the connections making there. There is a parade. There is a parade coming up and I am so excited. If I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have heard about the parade. They have parades and they have fundraisers and they earn money to give scholarships to the high school graduating seniors. And I mean, they just do all this fun stuff that I've never even, heard about living in the bigger city. So this is cool. I'm excited. All right, first thing we're gonna do, it's gonna take a little bit because I'm using something that's frozen. So I have a plethora of these. I know my husband doesn't love beans and I misinterpreted it as regular beans. And so I didn't cook them very often. I didn't realize it's not green beans. So I have a plethora of these organic frozen green beans in my fridge. So I'm going to smash them so that they're not one solid block. And then I'm going to dump, let me find my dumper knife here. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna throw the whole thing in there because I know I'll eat it later. So I'm just gonna dump it in there. And then I'm gonna open a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. And I'm literally gonna let it just simmer while we're talking. And it turns into this lovely, tasty thing you can eat just as a soup by itself. Throw in some potatoes, throw it on rice to get your starches in there. Have it just the way it is with a chunk of, good whole grain bread. Or what I'm going to show you, I'm going to make here in a minute, I'm going to show you how to make a frittata without egg and dairy and that sort of stuff. So we're just going to dump that in there on top of it. And because I used the whole bag, let me grab one more can. Normally I would have used just half the bag, but I'm planning ahead. Why have to stop and make it again for dinner when I can have whatever's left from my lunch and have it be ready for dinner. So two cans of already fire roasted tomatoes. We're gonna give it a swirl with a spoon here or spatula and put it on a nice simmer heat. The water that comes off of the frozen green beans looks like this in the pan. Okay, it looks almost like a stew. The water from the green beans that are frozen and the water from the tomatoes will be plenty to give it a nice little simmery sauce. Those green beans will get nice and soft and tender, and it'll be wonderful. You're gonna enjoy that. When I was a little girl, my grandmother would come to visit, and she brought two things with her when she'd come. She'd bring a 5-gallon can of honey that was all crystallized that you had to put in the oven to melt down, and we would we called hue of honey sandwiches for lunch at school, where the bread would just have a little bit of honey on it. But she also would bring some green beans from her garden, and string beans, as we call them. We call them green beans to be polite, but to get them to this state, sometimes you have to snip off the end and pull out a string, and that's why they were called string beans. And we didn't do such a good job of getting those strings out. And I remember wanting to have, honey, the way my grandmother put it on the bread, not the way my mom did, but the way my grandmother did. And in order to get that, we had to finish what she brought, and she had these boiled green beans, but the strings were so disgusting and so chewy that you just couldn't do it. And I remember sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours trying to gag down these green beans just so I could have honey on a piece of bread like my grandmother served it, where it was, quite a good amount. So anyways, memories. But because of that, she'd also put the green beans in like a tomato soup broth, just like regular tomato soup, canned Campbell's or something. And so those two colors, as I was sitting there trying to force it down, reminded me of Christmas. So for many, many years, I did not like the color of red and green together. Now you'll see my whole kitchen is red, green with a splash of sunflowers and yellow. So I think I've come full cycle. So anyways, but here again, here's my red and green, and it's just going to simmer itself down there nicely. All right, I'm going to turn my oven on, and we're going to go to bake. And it's at 350, so we're going to start it. get it going. I'm gonna grab my blender, handy dandy blender, and I'm gonna start throwing stuff in it. We're gonna make frittatas out of chickpeas. Now this is a egg-free, cheese-free, nut and dairy-free frittata that you guys have heard about faba, the liquid that comes in the chickpeas. You can actually save that juice and whip it, and it turns into like whipping cream. You can use it to make all kinds of stuff. Oops. So we're going to use it today just by dumping the entire can into, now I use also the organic chickpeas just because I've had that on hand. And so I dump that into the blender. Let's see if I can tip this down just a little bit so you can see my blender concoction here. I'm going to dump in an entire bag of salad, minus the dressing packet and stuff that we don't need. I'm gonna put this over here. Maybe my boys can use it for something later on. Just take the, this has got kale and cabbage and carrots and all kinds of good stuff in there. We're just gonna dump that into the blender. Okay. And I've got some leftover zucchini. It's literally dump anything that looks like it was edible in your fridge into this blender. I had a yellow squash that I'm going to just whack into some big chunky pieces.
Okay, I have a question. I have to interrupt. How do you have a leftover part of zucchini?
Because I shredded it for hamburgers yesterday when we did our meatless hamburgers yesterday. And so I have this piece and I had these little teeny slivers in here that I had left over from when I cleaned up last night after that. So it's just going to all go into the blender here. And I'm going to take the one that we had left over, the green one. I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to just break it off. I mean, you don't have to be fancy. This isn't like a pretty contest because that's what the blender's for. I'm going to grab some of these bell peppers, got some orange ones left. And I'm going to whack off just the end. And I'll munch around the edge of that while I'm watching TV tonight. And not worry about it right now because that would take me too much time. And I'm not trying to have a time contest. But I'm just going to take the tops off and plop them in there. I have some more lettuce. This head of lettuce is about to die. As you can see, it's got some browning here on the end. I'm going to whack that off, whack the end part off. And I've been told that I can whack off this bottom part and put it in water or soil and it'll grow more lettuce. So we're going to give that a try. I'll do that a little bit later. I'm going to whack that off and try to get it to give me some more lettuce. I'm learning all kinds of gardening tips out here. If people know how to garden, it's the people out here in the country. Fantastic ideas. I've seen that one on YouTube though before too. So I've done it and I've grown it. If it doesn't grow and make a nice new head of lettuce in like 2 weeks, don't worry about it. It's probably seen its better days, but we've gotten lots of extra lettuce from doing that. All right, so I think I've got that in there. Got the faba in the bottom, and I want it to be a little bit thick. Now, my family was so good at eating their potatoes that they ate all my cold potatoes. I would have put 2 potatoes in here to make it thick. So I stole some of their hash browns, and I'm just going to take a couple of scoops of that and remove some of this lettuce so I can get these in here without making a mess. I'll put a couple of scoops of the potato hash browns in here. Again, whatever looks like a leftover in your fridge, as long as you got those chickpeas with that faba juice in the bottom, you're going to be in Surpriseville when you take it out later. All right, so we'll put that over here. I've got some Brussels sprouts, but my blender's pretty full right now, so I'm not going to try to push it. I maybe it will while it's blending, but I'm going to put the lid on. It's good and full. Look at that. Layers and layers and layers and layers. All right. And I'm going to throw it on the blender. and I'm just gonna let it hum. You can pulse it, but I'm gonna just let it hum on low for a minute, on the very lowest setting. Tell me if this is too loud. Okay. It's not going down very easily, so I'm going to take my plunger right here, my handy dandy plunger, and I'm just going to give it a little push. Push it down into the blades. The reason why I have it on low is because I still want it to have bits. I don't want it to be smooth. I want it to still have these little bitty chunks in here. Now, I didn't have a Vitamix before. I had a Blendtec, and I ordered one of these dampers, they call it, on the internet, and I was able to use it with my Blendtec. But this is designed, it cannot go down into the blades. It will not go past because of this ring right here. It prevents it from being a hazard or danger in any shape or form. So this is going to be a nice little kind of a thick paste. I can do this with one hand. Just push it down a little bit. Got some lettuce up here at the top that doesn't want to behave, and a bell pepper. There we go. Okay, let's see how it's doing. Taking the lid off, pretty chunky. I'm gonna push some of this big stuff down there just a little bit more. It's getting nice and thick. It's not supposed to be runny. It's supposed to be kind of pasty. And as my son said, I was asking him what the importance of using baking powder is. If you guys have any input for that, let me know. But evidently, when you put just a little bit of baking powder into the mix that you want to bake, it makes it, I don't know, there's some sort of a chemical reaction, he says, that you don't want to leave out. So let me grab that while it's making this last little run here. So other than dumping just anything that was in the fridge into the blender, all I'm adding extra is a good couple teaspoons of baking powder. Not baking soda, do not get confused. Baking soda, baking powder are two different things. If you want to burp a lot, use the baking soda. All right, and for a little added extra flavor, I'm going to throw in some onion powder. I could throw in a whole onion, but I'm all out of them. So I'm going to throw in some onion powder. I like onion powder. And I'm going to throw in some garlic powder. I guess you could throw in some nutritional yeast if you had it. Get crazy. Do whatever seasonings you want, okay? All right. So other than that, swirl, swirl, swirl. It's ready. Gonna give my handy dandy tomatoes and green beans a swirl. There's plenty of liquid in here now. I didn't add any, as you saw. Like I said, the water from the frozen. Now, why is a reason that I would want to use frozen vegetables? Does anybody know why I like frozen vegetables, especially the organic ones? I will jump in because they are picked at perfection. They are picked in the field and usually flash frozen, washed, clean, cut, and flash frozen, sometimes right in the field. They have like a whole manufacturing thing going on, and it's ready to sell at the other end. Or when it gets back to the farm, you know, they're taking care of it. But they're picked at exactly the right ripeness so that you can just eat it straight away. And what you can do with that is use it in anything. You just have to cook them a little bit longer because they were frozen, and you have to cook them a little bit longer until they're tender. So my technician's looking through the window. I'm keep teaching a cooking class, Dawn. So the oven's nice and hot. So hi. So we are making today green beans with tomatoes on the stove out of frozen green beans and a can of fire roasted tomatoes. And we just put it on the stove, no added fluid or anything, just to let it simmer. And the juice from the tomatoes and the green beans frozen has been just enough to make it just perfect. I'm going to turn the heat down and let it simmer a little bit on low, because it's definitely up to a full boil right now. And then we're going to take our little mixture from our frittata here. Again, this is like everything that was left in the refrigerator, plus a can. We started with a can of chickpeas, garbanzo beans, and we left the juice in and everything, put it in the bottom. And then we started adding all these extra vegetables, including some leftover hash browns and stuff from the fridge. And then what we're going to do with it, you guys want it simple. I can't get much more simple than this. Going to take that mixture, see how it's still kind of chunky. If I was really brave, I'd tip it upside down like they do at Dairy Queen, but I'm not that brave. Diane's going, don't do it. But this gooey concoction here, and it's got the garlic and onion and a couple teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda. As I was telling the girls earlier, Diane, my son, who's a professional chef most of his life, says it's a chemical thing. Don't argue, just put it in. And then I'm going to put it on this nonstick pan here, and it's just a flat nonstick. And I'm going to dump it out. Hey, teaching a cooking class. What's that? Yes, you are.
Is that Dawn in the background?
Dawn says, am I in time for lunch?
I'll let you know how it is.
What's that? Yeah, he's the taste tester. Leroy's in the other room. His oxygen machine was making up a lot of noise. So he decided to go watch a movie in the middle of the day and take a break. He's been so helpful having him to help with our appointments and stuff for the water company and stuff like that. So once you get this out of the blender, that's probably the hardest part. We're going to just kind of smooth it out fairly thin. And I've got the oven set at 350. This is a nonstick pan, so you notice I didn't have to put anything on it. And if you wanted to put some parchment paper, you could, but it doesn't really stick that much. I've noticed when I've done this in the past, and I'll show you here in a minute what it looks like as the end products. I just made some earlier this week, and I've been really enjoying it. So anyways, so you just smooth it all out, and it looks like this. Okay, it's probably about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick. Whoop. It's on my computer laptop almost. That was a close one. And I'm going to pop it in the oven. You can add oats to this. You could add, anything you wanted. You could add some dry oats. You could grind it up, maybe add a little flour if you wanted a little bit more fluffy to make it more cakey like. I kind of like it more of a texture of like a bread. And this is how it came out earlier this week. Let me put that on. I'm going to put that on the timer for 45 minutes at 350. And this is how it came out this week when I made it.
So I don't mean to sound dumb and stuff.
Yes. What's a frittata?
Yeah, what the heck is a frittata?
Frittata is another way of saying, in my mind, it reminds me of quiche, where they take eggs and cheese and vegetables and they cook them in a pan, and it's usually about this thick. This is of course, no egg, no dairy, no cheese. And I did them thin because I like to use them like little pieces of bread, little toast, to add to just anything, like any side dish or something, and they're good cold, they're good warm. So much flavor. I'm telling you, so much flavor. I've talked about it before. I can't show it to you because I haven't unpacked it yet, but oh, that's so good. There's a salt that has a little bit of a sulfur taste to it that kind of makes things taste like it has egg in it. That might be a nice little seasoning to add to that if you want a little bit more eggy flavor to it.
Is that black salt?
It's like a black salt.
Black salt. That's what I thought it was.
It's not the black sulfur. Mine's actually kind of pink, but it has a sulfurish smell to it.
Huh.
I'll try to find it in upcoming shows, but it is so good. And you're getting so much protein and so much fiber from just the chickpeas alone. And the texture is really good. It's not too dry. It's not crumbly. It's just really, really, really good. So that's going to be really good to serve with the concoction that I've made over here. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me find it on my scooper here. Can you see my spoon? Yeah, you can. Oh, these are the new spoon holders that I got when I was playing with Carolyn last week because she won our contest. And this came in a set of 2. So I've got one on each side of my stove. And it's got a nice little bend down on the flour here for the spoon holder. I like it much better. I donated my white one that I've had for a mazillion years. But look at this. Doesn't that just look hearty and wonderful? It's just the green beans are super tender. The tomatoes have all kind of flavored into it. Didn't have to add any extra spicing because it already had the fire roasted tomatoes. And as that sits and simmers just a little bit longer, those green beans will get super soft, super tender. I can have that with the frittata. I can throw it on rice. I can throw it on my potato. I can throw it on my salad, and it's good hot or cold. Who knew? So how's that for simple? Throw it in, blend it, cook it, done.
Good job.
What I eat all the time, I want something different. Well, not the frittata, but I put all the same stuff. I just don't blend it. And
Do you do the tomatoes and the green beans? Have you done that before?
Yes, all the time. All the time.
Well, you're holding out on me. I don't remember seeing that on your menu before. I thought, I don't think I've seen this before. So
I eat green beans about every other day with everything together.
And then tomatoes are on your salad and stuff. So
No, I just all together.
That's awesome.
Put it all in the oven. I'm not in the oven, in the pan, and heat it all up. It just looks like a big old pan of mush. But yeah, there's always green beans. There's always the other day I was eating and I was like, oh crap, I forgot the potato.
You were just eating the vegetables?
Yeah, it was just all vegetables. And I mean, I take like a bag of coleslaw, the dry coleslaw, and start with that, and and then the onion and the green bean, or the zucchini, and just everything.
You cook it down. Sometimes you do it raw, sometimes you cook it down, right?
Yeah. So but yeah, I love tomatoes, and throw that in always tomatoes.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think my problem is that when I cook, it's like, okay, I've got 2 potatoes, I've got a zucchini, I've got an onion, I've got a bell pepper, and I've got all of these different things, and I eat it all in one sitting. I think that's the problem, because I eat the whole thing.
That there's nothing wrong with that. If you're hungry and you need it, eat the whole thing. You are not going to gain weight eating a full zucchini or a full onion. Now onion and zucchini is one of my favorite things just to slice up, and I still am in love with my mandolin that does everything super thin, and heating it up kind of like a stir fry. And something about that with a little bit of garlic, maybe a little bit of, what do you call it? Basil or something like that, changes it. I mean, it's the same food. It's the same zucchini. It's the same zucchini. It's the same onion. But because I sliced it thin, it's kind of like getting a chopped salad at Subway. The chopped salad tastes so much different than the regular salad because they've cut it so many times that all the natural juices from the vegetables have now gotten into the salad, and it just is so much more flavorful than eating just big chunky salad. So that can make a big difference. Just the same food, but the way it's prepared. I mean, I can take that same onion, I can take that same zucchini, and I can throw it in the air fryer, and I get a totally different taste and result. You know what I mean? So stir frying or adding it to a soup or whatever. I mean, I've used the same vegetables and I'm getting a different result every single time. So as that frittata, you know, bakes for the next 45 minutes, it's going to get a little bit firmer, kind of like that bread texture. And what I did is I just sliced it in little squares and layered it between parchment paper, put it in my Ziploc bag, and this will last for days and days that I'll be able to use it. I might use that one today for like a pizza bottom or something, put some pizza toppings on it, flip it over, make it nice and crispy and crunchy. Where this one here is a little bit, you know, softer, kind of like it almost has the texture of an oatmeal cookie. And I don't even have any oatmeal in here, but that would be something fun to add, would be to put some dried oats in with that recipe. Hi, how are you, sweetheart? Haven't seen you in a while. Hi. So, but it's got kind of that oatmeal cookie texture, but it's got the flavor of everything I ever loved in quiche. You know, it's got all the vegetables and seasonings and things that I would have experienced in that. So this here is not a snowball. This here is something my son made earlier this week, and you've seen it on my page before, minus we ran out of seaweed, but he calls these rice balls, and we make rice in the rice cooker, and he'll take it and he'll clump it up and he'll put stuff in the middle of it. And so this particular rice ball, who wants to guess what's inside there? Any takers?
You probably have some avocado in there, and nope, some zucchini. Well, then I don't know what.
I will cut it and give you a hint. So right down the middle.
Can't be fish. Can't be salmon.
Roasted red bell peppers.
Oh, okay.
And it is so flavorful, and the rice sticks together like these little bowls, and it's so delightful. Rice to me is always best fresh. So when he makes these, they just like, oh, they're just such a comfort food, and you're biting them, and the flavor from the roasted red bell peppers or mushrooms or zucchini or whatever you put in there. It's usually sauteed, it's already cooked, goes in the middle. And usually he wraps it with seaweed, but we were out of seaweed, so he didn't get to do that. But for his, sometimes he'll put things in there that I won't eat, like sardines or something, but I can't do that. But for me, he always makes it with onions or roasted red bell peppers or something like that. Okay.
I had, what did I have? What's that? Whatever you're talking about. For the
roasted
first
red
time.
bell peppers?
No. You know, the stuff that Chinese,
Oh, seaweed.
no, not seaweed, but sushi.
Sushi,
I had sushi
okay.
for the first time in my life. I actually tried it. And went to the Chinese buffet. That's right. There's absolutely nothing that I can eat in that whole place.
Oh man.
And stay on, you know, eat right. So I was like, oh well. And so yeah.
We went to Chopsticks just about a week ago. Chopsticks is a Chinese buffet on 410. And Travis gets so upset with me when I do this, but when he was little, when he and Jacob were little, they were actually in a commercial for Chopsticks. And they were on 22 billboards around town, and commercials ran like every 2 hours on TV. So they were like all famous and everything. And it was a cute little skit that they did for that restaurant. But I always bring it up to the management when I'm there, thinking that I'm going to get a free buffet or something out of it. It doesn't work anymore. But Travis is like, going, why are you telling them that story? Because I said, because you were this little tiny boy and now you're like this big ass man, you know. Oh, sorry. You're grown. And so it's kind of a funny thing that we go through. But at the buffet, what did I have? I went straight for the rice noodles. They have that big old pile of rice noodles, and it's usually got green onion and carrot and sometimes green beans or broccoli in it. And I put that on my plate. I go and I get what I call the vegetable sushi, where it's just got the rice and the carrots and the cucumber. I think theirs has avocado in it. So it's got that little teeny piece, you know, a 1/4 inch big of avocado. I put a pile of those on my plate with the ginger. I love the ginger. I go to their green bean aisle, and they've got the green beans that they've sauteed with like mushrooms or something. And I shake up off the juice because I don't know how much oil's in there. Pile that up on my plate. Let's see, what else did I get? They had grilled potatoes. I got some of that. And then they had a salad. I mean, I ate like 2 plates, too much, but I should have stopped at 1 because I was not comfortable leaving after that second plate. But I just loved it so much. They also had the yams. They had the marshmallows on top, but I got a little scoop of yams. And what else did they have for vegetables? Oh, they had the sauteed zucchini and bell peppers and stuff kind of like all together. So I wasn't starving at all when I left there. And all I ate was things that were on plan.
But they're not. They're not
wouldn't
on
it be
plan
if it
because
had too much oil?
Exactly. They're all done in butter and oil and all of that. You can just see it all on top. And it's like, yeah,
so
no,
that's why
shit.
you could do like I did at Panda Express, or what's that one that's around the corner of Petranco and
Go rinse
1604?
it off in the bathroom? Nope.
Yes.
Not gonna do that.
I went and rinsed it off in the bathroom and had to butt check the manager when she tried to take it away from me. But that's probably not my best moment, but but I shook off as much as I could. And you got to do what you can with what you got, you know, in situations like that. But they had so many vegetables and so many starches to choose from that, you know, the noodles are coming out of water. If they maybe put a little bit of oil in the water to keep them from sticking, I didn't taste it. I really did not. It was just literally the angel rice hair noodles. So that was cool. That was a lot of fun. So I'm going to take my laptop over here, and I'm going to unplug it and go sit out in the sun porch for a little bit. The oven's getting a little hot standing here next to the oven. And it's got like another 30 minutes. We'll be done with our thing by then. So let me unplug and take you for a walk over here.
Did you talk about those oils you were going to talk about?
Which ones?
You mentioned something last week about talking about weight loss oils or something, drops.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good girl. Man, I totally forgot about that. So in my natural health, in fact, they just came today. I just picked up the box. Oils is what threw me off because they're not oils. They're actually flower essence, but same concept. The different flowers throughout, you know, history have different properties. Let's see if I can get this to sit up here because I don't have enough space. There, can you see me still? Okay, so what I have is Bach Essential Flower Essence, okay? And think of it when you go out in the morning, you see that morning dew, and the dew is so unique. It's like little beads sitting on top of the, what you call it? Whoops, did I lose you, Diane? Nope, I didn't lose you. See if I can get that speaker. It's keeping Sam on there, but that's okay. We like Sam up there too. Maybe it'll do it this way. Gallery, view, speaker. Nope, still doing it. All right, put Diane back in the middle. There we go. So anyways, you notice that the dew on the flowers are like these perfect little beads. That's not rain landing on the leaves. It's literally the barometric pressure of the earth pushing on it and pushing kind of like the dew out of those pores. That's why it comes out so perfectly. If you've ever had your finger poked for a blood test like what I do, or diabetic check or something like that, when the blood comes out, it makes that perfect little round ball on top. Well, that's what these flower essences are. And Dr. Bach had discovered way back in the 1930s that there was about 38 to 40 specific plants that produce a certain level of vibration. And these vibrational properties help to calm some of the stresses in life. And so it's kind of like these little, whirlwinds to a tornado, to a hurricane, to a tsunami of emotions that go on inside of our body. So think of a color wheel. If I've got a tsunami going over here of anger and stress, I'm going to match it with the flower essence on the opposite side of the chart that is just the opposite vibration. This one's so calm, it will actually counter this crazy over here. And it brings it together, and just like an algorithm, it just smooths it out. And that crazy stressful emotion or anger or fear or whatever kind of just, vanishes. So what we have, and I wanted to talk about this, and thank you for the reminder, Diane, I would have totally forgot about that, is we have a combination of 3 specific flower essences that deal with the emotion that we are dealing with on a daily basis for weight loss. It will deal with our body self-image, so that we have better self-esteem when we look in the mirror. I told my husband recently, the only thing I like about me is my eyelashes, so if I see my eyelashes, I'm like having a good day. But, other than that, I'm like, I could live without it. So I'm going to definitely take some of those drops. It has drops in there that help with not just the body image, but the emotion of stress eating and overeating. It has the drops in there that help with the entire essence and emotion related to losing weight and needing to lose weight and depression and things like that. So in that combination, you put 4 drops under your tongue 3 to 4 times a day, or as often as needed. And it is a phenomenal tool to add to our weight loss. And I don't know why I haven't talked about it in the last year, but I was mixing some drops for some of my clients, and I was running out of those. And it dawned on me that I'm running out of those because so many people that I work with are dealing with those self-imagery issues. We also work with sleep deprivation and just any emotion, including traumas from past experiences that you might have gone through as a child or as an adult, or not being fully healed from an accident, or regrets from living in the past and what could and should have been, and you can't change it, but we have a tendency to live in that past moment going, well, what if I had done this? And what if I'd done that? This would have been different. I could have had that. I could have done that. And we can't change the past. We can only deal with our future. But because those emotions are constantly playing in our back, rewind movie screen, we will sometimes beat ourselves up over the fact that we could have and should have and might have had something that we don't. So we do the custom drops where you do a questionnaire down to 39 questions. The 39th question is probably the most important. It tells you to name those drops. What would you name a custom remedy that would alleviate some of those emotions and stresses that you've dealt with for who knows how many years or decades? And so, and then this one here that we do for the weight loss. So I wanted to offer the weight loss drops to you guys at a discount. They're normally $35 a bottle. I wanted to offer them to you for $25 a bottle, and see if that's something that would help you to boost your ability to deal with this whole weight loss issue, and then collect some data from that by having you do maybe a questionnaire, a discussion that we can have later on and say, hey, I noticed this about this week. I noticed that about this week, and see if you have some improvements on how your emotional coping skills are because you're taking these drops. They're totally safe. There's nothing in them that's harmful whatsoever. You can drop them on underneath your tongue directly. You just cannot let that dropper touch your mouth in any shape or form, or it'll start, the saliva from your mouth will start deteriorating the drops that are in the bottle. Some of my clients put the 4 drops in their hand and lick it off after they've washed their hands, of course, but they'll put the 4 drops in their hand and just lick it off and then hold it on their tongue until it kind of dissolves and goes away. And, but I would love to have you guys try that and see if it's something that helps you. And it's not something you have to take forever either. None of these drops are. I have found that in most cases, they'll go through, a client will go through like 2 bottle remedies of, the initial, and then we do the questionnaire and we adjust it again. We do 2 more bottles with the adjusted recipe. And usually by the 3rd cycle, they're great because we've taken all these strange emotions and balanced them out and made them kind of go away. So very rarely if I had somebody call back and say, hey, Dr. Rowe, I need some more of your drops. And that's because they've had a re-triggering of that emotion. Something happened. I get a lot of calls, no joke, after Thanksgiving, when they've gotten back together with their family and that same sibling or parent that drove them nuts, and we dealt with some of that trauma, was there still causing their fuss. And so usually during the holidays is when I get most of my orders for these, because the custom version, because some of those triggers have just been re-triggered. So anyways, but if you want that, go to the bookhealthy.us or my website, thebloodlady.com, thestarchlady.com. And at the bottom, it'll say contact me. Send me an email, shoot me a text. I think all y'all that are on here today, I know you have my phone, and just say, hey, I'd like to try that. And I'll mail them out to you and get them out to you right away. Like I said, we just got the drops after my chamber meeting today. I went by the post office and picked them up. So they had come in. So off to the mail they go. All right.
Did my sleep stuff come in?
Yes, it's all in there together. I reordered everything that I needed that was low in my kit. And that's what reminded me about this, because all my weight loss drops were extremely low, if not completely gone. My sleep drops, we use them for PTSD. We use them for, we call it quiet mind, peaceful rest. It just quiets that monkey brain, that brain chatter, shush, 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 to do. It quiets that all down calmly and effectively. And those were gone. That's why I couldn't make any for you last week. So now they're here. And like I said, they're completely safe. A newborn baby could drink the whole bottle. Pet could drink the whole bottle, and nobody would get hurt from them. They're absolutely that safe, but they are so incredibly effective. You'll see them in stores like natural food stores. You'll see a section of Bach flowers, and it'll have like these yellowish kind of labels on there. You might have seen something called Rescue Remedy in the stores. And I had used that with no results. So when I first took the classes to learn how to do this back in 2014, I thought, oh, this is going to be a waste of time and money. It wasn't. I learned so much about why the Rescue Remedy that's sitting on the shelf at the store does not work for me. There is basically 5 of the flower essences in that bottled recipe at the store. But when I did the questionnaire and found out what was really bothering me, only 2 of the 5 drops was actually something that Rosemary, needed. And so when I customized it and made it with the drops that Rosemary needed, huge, instantaneous difference. Within 24 hours, I knew that something was different. And the stress and worry and fear and all that stuff of raising a large family and having people going in all these different directions all the time, and running a company and all this stuff, all those things just kind of just and that stress went down. So that was my first introduction, and it was a doozy, and I've been sworn by it ever since. So I'm glad
Do
to have
any of
it.
the drops deal with sugar cravings? Because sometimes I tell you, I want to eat the whole box of whatever I don't have in the house.
Yes, and I can recommend something for that too. So I will definitely include that in your recipe for you, because that's also part of it. In fact, that's one of the drops actually deals with those kind of cravings and things like that. And it's normal. But what is your body actually asking for when it's asking for sugar? When it starts begging for sugar, we have to look at if there's any yeast going on. Think of it like a little nest of baby birds with their mouths open going, feed me, feed me, feed me. And so when you get that kind of a urgency, it is best to try to fight through that, get a glass of water, maybe put a little lemon in it to kind of cut that sweet craving with a little bit of a sour, and push through that, because you want to starve the yeast. You want to starve anything that's inside of you saying, feed me sugar, because that's where the problems come from. But Sam, you're just transforming before our very eyes.
What?
You're transforming before our very eyes. This is Sam's part 1 makeup redo here.
Do you remember when we did those drops? I think it was, we put like we call it like cheerleader or something like that. And anyway, and so they had dropped from where I was keeping them, and then and then I had stopped taking them, and whatever.
What, bro?
Then, no, but forever, or not forever, but anyway, they had moved, and so I had started getting these cravings of, my neighbors must be cooking again, or something, because and there was oregano in it. And so I kept thinking, I kept smelling these, Italian yummy,
It was the oregano. I've got oregano in the diffuser right now. Now, oregano that we use is an essential oil, and putting it on the center soles of the bottom of your feet, it gets into your bloodstream within about 3 minutes. And it is the best for bacterial, fungal, and viral infections. I swear by it. It just really makes a huge difference. When we're traveling, we make sure we do it every time we change locations. It's like I told Diane last year, nothing personal, I love you, but tonight I'm putting oregano oil on because I spent the day at her house, and if I go to Sam's house, I put oregano oil on that night. So every time I do a house call, I make sure that I put the oregano oil on, just so that if there's anything that I might have picked up, that it protects me, but it also keeps me in a healthy state so that I'm not passing anything on to somebody else. And so we have it diffused, so I can swear by what she's saying here. It smells like I'm cooking Italian, and I'm not, other than my tomatoes and green beans right now.
Yeah.
So very exciting. So what questions you guys have for me this week? And what do you want to see for next week? Look, I have a waist. Look at that. Check that out. Loving the waist. Loving the waist. Any questions this week?
What can we do to, other than willpower, to, I don't know, I just feel like I'm just like stalled. And I guess it probably is me eating too much, or breaking, not doing whatever 100%. But there must have been something that you said or did, 2 years ago or year and a half ago, however long it's been, that made me go, okay. And I did it, and I did it right. And I lost that weight. So what was it?
Do you feel like you have a lot more to lose?
Yeah, I need 10 more pounds.
10 more pounds? So that
Yes.
last 10 is going to be a little harder anyways, but I would go back to the alarm on your clock that reminds you to drink the water consistently every 2 hours. You've got to keep that inside flushed, or the body ends up having to store some of that stuff. And the only way it can store it is in your fat, your tissue, and your organs. So keep your insides rinsed. Like I said, you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, you get a drink. So keep with that pattern, and don't sip. Chug that sucker down. I want at least 12 ounces in at a time. Hey, Diane, do you have a 12-ounce glass right there with you? You moved to a 12-ounce glass last time. Can you hold? Do you have one right there you can show us?
No, but I can get one in like 2 seconds.
Sure. Can you show that to us?
Yeah.
Because it's not 8 ounces and it's not 16. And so it's not a full pint. It's 12. And she's got the perfect jars, and they're canning jars. When she measured them out, and they were 12 ounces. And it is the perfect amount for her body size. And she's, getting closer and closer to her goal weight as well. And keeping it so that she has proper hydration every 2 hours. And then, cheats for you and me, Sam. Overeating is cheating. So, there you go. Okay, so it's 12 ounces to which line? To right there. Okay, all right, excellent. All right, so that's a good jar for her to get. And I also have her switch. She doesn't have her big, huge Yeti cup there right now because I didn't like the air that she was losing her antioxidants in. So she's actually getting up and going and getting fresh from her alkaline system, the 12 ounces, and drinking it, and then redoing that every 2 hours. And what has that done for you in your AFib this week, Diane?
Haven't had near as many. I had a couple, but not near as many as I have had.
And was it shorter duration?
Yeah, yesterday one was only 2 hours, which was as opposed to 30 over the weekend. It's like
excellent. And did you happen to notice, or have you been documenting how often you were getting your water, and did that happen when you didn't have it in the right intervals? Did you notice anything like that?
No, I didn't notice anything because nothing's predictable with this thing. But no, maybe I should try documenting it to see. I didn't, but maybe I should.
Let's try documenting it. Let's write down the times that you have your water, and and how much salt you put in it. Like I said, we calculate that out for you. For me, I do it, like I said, I hit it hard with that first quart in the morning, which would be about 2 to 3 of your little glasses spread out over those first 3 glasses. And that's enough to sustain me throughout the day. But you've got yours broken down, I think, until from about like 8 o'clock in the morning till like 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so for me this week, I want you to write down when you have the water, and then tell me when an episode starts and when it stops. And let's see where on that scale, where's the water falling and where's the episodes falling. See if we can make a couple of adjustments to that, okay?
Sorry,
You're
allergies.
fine. Okay, awesome. All right, guys. Well, I am going to get in there. Dawn came home. My husband's hungry. I made lunch and they ain't getting it yet. So I'm going to go in there and get them some food. And we will next week. I'm going to try and have a guest speaker. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to have that or not. We did it with the sweet gal Jennifer last year. Remember, she was the registered nurse that was an avid walker with her family. And I recorded it on my cell phone, and myself and my assistant Maxwell, none of us could get it out of my phone. So we never got to share it with the group. So I'm thinking it's, getting to be springtime. We're getting a little bit more pep in our step and wanting to get out and do a little bit more. So it would be a good time to have a rerun on that one for you guys that have heard it before, but be able to share it with the masses for those that hadn't had it in the past. So, all right. But if you think of anything, shoot me a message. Diane, I'll get those drops made up today and in the mail by tomorrow. And
yeah, I'll send you a text in a few minutes.
Okay, sounds good. All right. And Sam, anything else you need us to do for you this week?
Nope. I'm good. Is John, are you good with John? You got everything you need? Or?
Yeah, I think we're done with John. We're good. And then I just need to send you the check for that last invoice. He did all my windows. y'all need windows, he's the guy. So, all right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. And
Bye-bye.
you guys have a really good week. You guys stand up here. All right, you guys have a good one.
You too.
Next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.